Welcome to So Very Easy. My name is Laura, and today I want to make a fun little Christmas pillow. I want to do childlike, simple Christmas trees. This is going to be a really simple project. You do not need a special machine. We just need to have some fun. So for this project, I do want to use my poly sheen embroidery thread. I'm lucky enough to have a nice case with 96 beautiful embroidery threads. These are 100% polyester and they do have that beautiful shine to them. And that's what I'm looking for. I want to find some colors that I'm going to be able to use on top of this blue velvet. Now this velvet I just picked up at the dollar store. It's craft velvet. It's 100% polyester. It's going to be a lot of fun to work with. But what I want to do is I want to draw some Christmas trees with my sewing machine. So I do want to choose colors that are going to pop on that blue. Now there's definitely more than 96, but these are definitely enough for me to start working with. So some bright, light colors are going to be fun for this. I will need to stabilize this fabric. You can use any stabilizer that is going to stabilize this fabric. Now we're going to be able to draw trees, and I promise you these trees are very simple, very childlike trees. We're looking at a triangular shape. From that triangular shape, we just need to fill in some shapes. Now you can do those temporary lines and just have any kinds of lines that's going to give us the tree. Straight lines, waves, very straight lines. We can get artistic and just do some nice big swirls. And of course, we can always do these shapes, and it's so much easier to draw when it's facing you. Some circles, anything that is just going to look like a Christmas tree. I've practiced some of those little trees. Now I'm going to be able to go to the machine and do them right on this fabric. Now I do want to do some guidelines. So I'm going to use a chalk that steams out. So the first thing I want to do is one straight line. I do want to have trunks on my Christmas trees, so I'm going to leave a little bit of space. And now I'm just going to draw some triangular shapes. And I'm not really worried about the size or even that triangular shape. I just want to have this as simple and as childlike as possible. That's all the markings I'm going to need. Now I can go right to the machine and start stitching. There are a few things that I can do to set up my machine. The first thing is I am going to put an all-purpose thread in the bobbin. I do want to have a color that's going to be close to this fabric. For this I'm going to use METROSENE, which is also from Mettler. And for the needle, because I am using an embroidery thread, I'm going to use an embroidery needle. I do have my reverse pattern foot on, and I'm just going to do some trees. We're going to be able to have that machine go forward, and I'm going to work that reverse button, going back and forth in different directions. And I'm just going to do some straight line stitching for this long, thin tree. I can reverse stitch. I just want to do some straight lines. And I'm going to semi-follow that tree shape that I did. And of course, the more you fill in, the more you're going to see that nice shiny thread. I do need to do a little bit of a tree trunk. So there's tree number 1 with my beautiful pink thread. And I did it with the feed dogs up, just using that back stitch. So for my next tree, I'm just going to have my branches coming down in this type of a direction. So I'm going to be stitching half of the tree and then stitching the other half. We're going to be doing the same thing, back and forth, all using that back stitch. I like to get so far, trim off that thread, and then just have some fun. This is definitely a lot of fun to do. It's a great project for a beginner. If you're teaching someone how to sew, this is a fun project. It teaches them how to control the machine and use that back button, all the while having some fun. So I have the one side of the tree done. Now I'm going to do the next side. My fun orange tree is now done. And in this case, I'm just going to do straight lines back and forth. Same thing, just go back and forth using that back button. So there is my fun green tree. Now these trees were all done with the regular foot and the feed dogs up, but we can do this in a free motion style. So I'm going to drop my feed dogs, change my foot. It could be a quilting foot or a darning foot. Having those feed dogs down means I'm going to be able to do more smooth motions versus these straight line motions. So in this case, I'm going to have those little curls come up. This time, instead of using that back stitch, my hands are doing all the work. So I now have my fun free motion red tree done. And there is my gold tree. Now you can stop here or just keep adding tons and tons of trees. If you have a machine that has some built-in stitches, you are going to be able to add a lot of fun little features. Those stars really make that fun. So you can see where you could just keep adding to this. So let me finish this off and I'm going to show you how we can turn this into a pillow. Now that I've had all of my fun, I am going to remove my stabilizer. Normally, we square up what we need and we're going to sew pieces together. But in this case, I am going to not square it up first. I'm going to square it up after I put my 2 layers together. So I'm going to start with that backing fabric and I'm going to place both sides so the right sides are touching. So I'm going to be able to smooth it out, and then I'm going to draw my straight lines. And the lines that I'm drawing can be either stitching or cutting, whatever you feel comfortable doing. In my case, they're going to be my cutting lines. So I will be stitching beside those cutting lines. Now before I go to the machine and I stitch this together, I need to find an area where I am going to want to leave that area open so that I can put some fill in. And in this case, I am going to have it along this edge. I will be doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to mark a 1/4 inch, and then I'm going to take my scissors and cut right to that 1/4 inch mark. So this is where I'm going to have that opening. So I'm going to start on one side, back stitch, go all the way around, stop where that little cut is, and back stitch. So I'm going to put my polyester METROSENE in my bottom, and I'm going to stitch in the top. So you can either stitch on the line that you drew or stitch in a 1/4 inch. we now can trim off this extra. By having extra fabric around, it helps stabilize it so it doesn't stretch as much. I like to use pinking shears, but use whatever you feel comfortable with and just trim off that extra. And you can see I really don't have to be that precise. I don't mind having a larger seam along this area. But what I will do is I'm going to fold back and I'm going to press. So I'm going to press that seam in and I'm going to fold that back and press. This pre-pressing really is going to give me a mark where I know I'm going to be stitching. Because I did have that seam pressed, it was easy for me to find that line and pin. But I do like to put 2 rows of pins in. That one row holds the edge together. The second row is about 1 inch in. And what I do is I push this batting out of the way and add that second row of pins. That's just giving me no pressure right here along that seam. So it's going to be very easy for me to stitch. Because this is a velvet, I'm just going to be able to do a whip stitch. So I'm going to go through both layers, come up, go in the same direction. So I'm just going like this. You can really see how adding that extra set of pins, holding the batting out of the way, can really make a difference on how we're going to be able to stitch that. Now I could take out those pins and give the pillow a fluff. So my pillow is now done. It's a simple design. It's easy to do. We have those straight stitches and some free motion stitches, and if you're lucky to have some stars built in, well, you can add those stars. It's a fun project to do, and every pillow will be very different. The pillow definitely was a lot of fun to make. The trees are just very, very simple designs, and the simpler, the better. Just to have fun on that machine. It gives us a chance to use some of those beautiful embroidery threads, and it showcases them really well. Thank you for joining me today on So Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and I do have a newsletter. It's all free under So Very Easy. And be sure to make every day a so-tacular day. Bye for now.